correct to say that it's not a part of the course, but at least, if not directly the control, a robust control technique, maybe some sort of stochastic application of control, yes, this method can be applicable. So it's from the demand of the participants. We are going by this particular topic, and I hope it will be beneficial for all of us to know a technique, because most of us who have worked in control for so many years, at least we don't know how to deal with stochastic system or Markov chain parameters. That's a very important way of modeling a stochastic systems. We have been thinking for long to work on Markov chain or jump parameters or whatever, but we didn't find opportunity to learn. So I can say in one way the topic is relevant to control, if not attractive ellipsoid and sliding. So it goes by a part of the course, but yes, it will not be a part of exam. Okay. Thank you. USB? Okay.
Because I prepared questions of the solution. I have a solution to this.
After class.
For tomorrow.
Now? You want now USB or after the class?
No. Now. If you have now, it's possible.
USB? Anybody having USB? Pen drive? You will get it later at night. And it's word file on that.
It's
what type of FedEx visible? Who all have not come, I need the name of those students and want them to report to my chamber by tomorrow. And obtain name of all those students who have not come in this section. Exam India. Exam India.
So now it's out of the course on robust control. It's now I only give you information which problem now is interesting, which problem also are interested in control for scientists. No, you know that initially the control appears in areas like mechanics, like aeronautics, like electrical engineering, but now it's extended to biological science, to economic science, to financial science, everywhere. So control is very general notion which can be applied in different life. So here I will show you very briefly. I will without discussions. For example, it's maybe 1 hour it will be enough for me to introduce. So it's about our Markov chain models in economics, management, and finance. So this course I gave in Moscow in April this year. This is about course I will not do. This is a book concerning the Markov chains, controllable Markov chains. This is not it. This is some publication, my publication from 14 and exist about that. It's only about this the Markov models. Now, what is this Markov chains? I will not follow this exactly the slide. So, definition was defined by Alexander Markov, 1906. You know that's famous scientist. We know the Markov inequality, Markov processes, Markov and so on. So what is this? Markov processes, it means, again, Markov chains, the same. It means that the future does not depend on prehistory. It don't depend on the states when we are now. Now, for example, it's a dynamic of some mechanical system or some particle in gas and so on. So if in the state it is not important, our future dynamic does not important how we arrived here. It's only dependent on state, velocity, and growth. So this is Markov processes. Markov chain, specific of Markov chain, the states are discrete. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and discrete. And strategies, I also explain strategies also consider like discrete, but what is a strategy? I just now explained. So this is definition of exactly probabilistic property of, I will not discuss. So random processes, what is different of random processes compared to deterministic processes? Deterministic process x of t, this is discrete time, the same continuous time. X depends on t, it's function of t. In stochastic processes depends on 2 variables. One variable is time, another variable is characteristic of event. So this is some event from a given set of elementary of possible events. So we can have the same process for the same like function of time, but for different events. This is omega 1, this is omega 2. We call it realization. So one realization corresponds to one omega, another realization corresponds to another one. The same in discrete time. No, this is exact property of Markov. So this is complete story, but finally it depends, the probability in next time depends only on tau, on last time, which appears. So I will not introduce more. Now characteristic of discrete of Markov property. if we will consider discrete time, not continuous. Exists a continuous time, but here I have briefly about this, but a little bit more complex. But in general, it is discrete time. So in discrete time, the probability, and we have states. States. This one, this two, that's maybe G, general N. So if we in some state, we can move from the state here, we can move in any states. But we can also stay in the same state. And the same for another one. Here, if we here, we can be. And this line, in general, if we are in state 1, exists several possibilities to pass in other states. So each line corresponds the probability exists. This is it's like dynamic equation, x point equal f, which we study. In discrete time, dynamic equation is here. So this is probability from state. For example, this is E, and this is G, this probability. So this probability is PEG. From E to go to, from E to pass, if you wish, I can write like this, to pass G. And at time N. If these probabilities are the same, does not depend on M, we deal with stationary system. It's like analytical dynamics. So dynamic for changing of state is like this. The probability of our process to be in next time is state G. For Markov chain, does not depend on all history, depends on only last event. If at last time we were in E, we denote it like PGE. To be in G, if we in E. And if it is non-stationary, and if stationary, so in case of stationarity, exists a term that is homogeneous. So this is rule of transitions from each to each one. And we will consider stationary case, because if no stationary, practically no theory for this one. It's already art. So these matrices we will define like letter P, and this is exactly property how live our system. This is analog of transition matrices, analog of rule how in usual time we go from one state to another. It's analog of differential equation, which equation I show now. So it's evident that summation of this characteristic in each row is 1, because probability equal 1. We obligatory goes to one of them. Okay. So using the Bayes formula, it's possible to find probability for our chain to be in state G in time n plus 1. If we can arrive in G from any states, from E to G, from 1 to G, from 2 to G, from any, and we summation, and if we make summation of probability of from E to be in G and multiply in probability to be in state E in time n, we obtain dynamics. So this is exactly analog of differential equation which we consider in usual problems. But for Markov chains, dynamics is given by this equation. In vector form, it looks like that. This is a vector of probabilities, and it looks like this. So when we return back, we obtain this dynamics. I see. So ergodic Markov chains, physically, it's a class of chain when obligatory, if I select any time, obligatory after this time exists probability that I again return in this state. So it's it means that each state we write infinitely many times if we push our red or everywhere. So obligatory we have a chance to return back. Not exist isolated state, because if exist some state, you leave it, it never return. This already not ergodic. So we will consider ergodic state, and it is important that in ergodic Markov chains, this vector converge to some stationary distribution. It converge, and it forget initial condition. So this is ergodic theorem. I will not speak about this. Okay, it's not important. Ergodicity coefficient, all of this is not important. But when we return back, it's possible to prove this theorem shows that, you remember, here was Pn plus 1 and here was Pn. If both converge, so final distribution, stationary distribution, should satisfy this relation. Should obligatory satisfy this relation. And moreover, the summation is 1, because this is probability. And because we return back, always, all components of this probability vector more than 0. No exists 0. All positive. So this is standard non-controllable Markov chains. But what is this controllable Markov chains? Because we speak about controller. What is this controllable? You have our transition matrix will also depend on another index. So in fact, we consider several. It's also finite number 1, 2, 3, 5, K, large. So third index means that for one index, we have another Markov chain, one scenario, one model. For another, we have another model. So we have collection of models. And what is this control? We have possibility, opportunity to select which model to use, or to give preferences. Some interval use one model, some interval use another model. So how to give explain it mathematically? We introduce probability value in the physical senses. If we in state E, we select control K, it means that we select matrix with index K. So if so, again, at each time we can select obligatory one of possible strategies. So this is, but they may be more than 0. It's probability and summation of selection, because we obligatory in each state we should select something. So summation equal 1. Sorry. Okay. And this matrix is named like control strategy or decision strategy. If we define a sequence of these matrices, which model, which dynamic of behavior select in each time, so this is a strategy of control strategy or decision Markov processes. Later we will consider stationary strategies when D is the same all time. If strategy is the same and Markov chain is ergodic, we obtain, now this is discussion. So physically, what is this? This is our system. At time n, state is in E. But transition to another state occurred with some matrix, transition matrix. But we have a selection of this possible matrix. So this strategy select some of matrix, and after that, this transition occurs according to this rule. So if we introduce this probability in state E, select strategy K, select control K, then general probability is from E to put in G, maybe realize various different methods. So if we apply, we can realize this using one model, another model, and if we make summation again by bias formula, we can realize this dynamic. So generalization is this: if our rate is not our chain is not controllable, we deal with this. If it is controllable, we extend matrix and introduce strategy D. So this is a general representation. And finally, probability to the dynamic equation. The dynamic equation is like this. So it is our vector. It's our distribution in moment M. And this is our transition matrix, but now it's already controllable. Our control is mixed strategy. We control probability. We control probability. So if our strategy constant, if D is constant, and and all considered models are transition matrix ergodic, so we obtain, we can prove that this vector converge. This error, it should be n+1 condition. This is okay. So it converge to this representation. Before we had only this one. Now it is this. But important that probabilities participate linearly in this description. Okay. Now this is how quickly converge this in ergodic case, how quickly converge probabilities. Sufficiently quickly, but here in 10, 12 stage, it's practically arrived here. So now transition matrix, our rule, our dynamic equation, transition rule depends on this matrix, but depends linearly. But P should satisfy this equation. So in this case, P also will be function of D. P will be function of D, which satisfies this equation for any fixed D. So now, simple example, how describe example simplest production optimization problem. Now, suppose that we realize applying strategy K, we realize transition from state E to state G. For this, we can obtain some income. This is incomes, our, how would say, money which we can win. This is incomes. Maybe treated after like penalty, but we will treat it like incomes. So if I apply strategy D, the general incomes, average incomes for my company or for some plant, for some bank, is this one. We should make average with respect all possible situation arising here in this problem. So this income will be multiplied by this expression, and finally we obtain in stationary regime. And finally we obtain expression like that. So look here, T participate linearly, like Markov transition function, but don't forget that P also depends on D. Look, this one. So with this constraint, so P satisfies this. So in general, dependence on D is very, very complex. In fact, it's not so simple. So our program, it's the simplest problem in Markov chain. We should select our strategy D, which belongs to admissible set admissible set, I give you what is this. It looks like that. It's average. Our incomes in average is like this. Under which constraint? Constraint is this one. It's ergodic constraint of final tertiary distribution and also constraint of simplex. Our strategy more than zero, more equal than zero, and this is probability. This probability constraints. So now here it's possible discuss best reply strategy. For example, many people applying in his head the best reply strategy. They know if bank, for example, is in one state, and they discusses how to move, in which state to move, they consider, if locally I have the best income in the state, I go there. But it's best reply, it's not always working. Local optimization, it's not always goes to global optimization. This is a problem. So this discussion of such strategy, when it's working, okay, here some interpretation of some example. First, for example, a state is number of working place, number of workers in some plant. Now you know that if more workers, we can more produce more product. But from other side, we should pay more. We should pay for salary, we should pay for buildings, pay for all. So in general, incomes is where zero is, I don't remember. Okay, this is some production, and where is salary? If we have more workers, we should pay more. This is no. It's possible to arrange the model. So in this case, we can suggest, we can consider three possible controllers, -1, 0, and 1. It looks like this. This is incomes of the plant. And we consider this transition three models of this case. And finally, we design this strategy. The best reply is this one, according to this best reply, but it's not optimal. And we solve the problem under constraints, and some also budget, it's money, I would say, restriction. I cannot, I can use for my financial operation only bounded value of money. I'm restricted. I have no, as I wish. So this is financial banking restriction. For example, I have a credit from bank to realize my strategy, only this one, not more than this expression. So if we introduce this, so we can solve the problem, optimization problem. But this is non-linear optimization problem, because P also depends, vector probability depends on T. Now, how to solve it? This is idea appears in my work in 83, but in really, this is idea early from some American publication in 50s. Not so known, but okay. So we have nonlinear situation. Look, we have D, and P also depend on T. We satisfy constraints. What to do? How to represent it in more, I would say, attractable manner. Define new variable, this one, C, E, K, like product. If I define like product, this I can define. It does not depend on D, so I can make summation on G, and I will obtain this representation. New index. For this product, I have new variable. But look, it is linear by itself. It is linear by itself. My constraints, which related with final distribution, also can be rewritten using this definition, like this. Summation, double summation of C equal 1. Financial banking constraints also can be rewritten like C. So look, we have linear programming problem. Only use MATLAB with linear programming we can solve. But we solve C. What after? Look, our C is product. But you can see that if we make summation with respect to second index K, this not depend on K. If you make summation on K, summation of all strategies is 1. So if I make summation, I obtain P. Summation of C, I obligatory obtain P. And if I obtain P, what is this my strategy D, which I finally should apply? It is C divided by P, so it's C summation of this. So my initial problem, which was non-linear, introduce a new joint variables C. We can represent like linear programming problem. And after that, if we find solution, after using the formula, we can recuperate our strategy D and this in final distribution. This is idea. And here, some example how it works. Continuous time, let me omit. Exists a model, discrete state, but they live in continuous time. So in some moments, depend on other characteristics, we can make transition. Not each time transition, but it's real that some transition that live, and this time between time of transition is random. Before we consider 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 discrete time, but now in continuous time, the leading in some state is random according to some distribution. How it I will not discuss. This process has a name, it's semi-Markov processes. It's not Markov, it's semi-Markov processes. So let me omit. I will not discuss. Okay. But what difference here? Here is now I show you final. So how long time we spent in each time depends on another characteristics, the matrix Q. So what happens that if we deal with continuous time, we have absolutely the same functional, the same constraints, plus one additional constraint. One additional constraint is this one. Matrix Q characterizes how much time, characterizes the flow of information, how long we live in this time. I will not. So this is first. Let me now briefly go to another one to explain. Okay, I will see. So, now it's briefly mean variance customer portfolio problem. What does it mean? Bank credit policy. This here in this problem we deal with the following problem. One bank obtain money to use this money to give a person credit card. But exists different credit card. One with very small credit because it's new customer, a new person for bank. Then if it's very confiable person, if we have some history, prehistory, more extended credit, more extended, and exists different credit cards. So for bank exists, for every bank exists the following strategy. You have restricted, you have some volume of money. This money you should dedicate to produce a credit card. And problem is how much card you should give for different customers, because customers are rich customers, not rich customers, and the confiable are different. So problem how much card you should give a person using this money. So here exists the blue card, green card, silver card, golden card, platinum card. So different. So state is 6. Which card means state. And this is action. Action we consider only 3. If history shows that some person don't return credit on time, we decrease his status. It's -1. If all okay, no change status. If it's good customer, we can improve his status. So we have only 3 controller, 3 action. And alpha, it's number of customers and in each state which use this action K. So individual profit for bank, if he propose one card of some some quality, so individual utility of profit of the bank is U. So we can again obtain average utility of the bank. This is the same expression, but now it gives another value. This not only strategy, how much customers use this card. This alpha is how much customers use this card. So we have 2 variables, alpha and C. C is John variable. Okay, I will not return back to D and P. It is product. C is product D by P. So now it is not linear programming. You see, it's bilinear because here participate number of customers. It is bilinear, look, in alpha and C. So we can minimize it. We have constraints. No, maximize it. That's profit. No, we can maximize it. But situation for bank also very important stability. If we select this, a market will be not stable, and we have great variation of this random of this income policy. It will be very bad. So we should obtain strategy and to find number of customers such that we had a profit, but the profit was sufficiently stable. Unstable market and finance not good. So it means that variation should be minimized. This variation of this R, this is I is average, but W is unit of profit. So in average profit with impact, it's mean variance. It's variance of random value. So Markowitz suggested this functional average should be minimized, maximized, but variance should be minimized. It means that with minus, it will be also maximized. So general presentation, it's like that. Look like this. Markowitz, he obtained Nobel Prize in which year? In 90. But his paper was published in 52. He suggests this criterion, so it was 40 years practically when he won the Nobel Prize. So we also have a market. This is a limit of credit which we can use for this credit operation. Now it depends on alpha, so we have bilinear combination. We have bilinear problem, functional bilinear, and constraints are bilinear. So no, this is reformulation of this bilinear problem, like that. I will not discuss more. And we try again introduce a mixed adjoint variable Z, rewrite it here, obtains a little bit another constraints. and exist, finally, we have multi-step quadratic programming. This functional, in fact, is quadratic, but parameters f, which is related with number of customers. First, we fix number of customers. We realize quadratic programming also exists in MATLAB, quadratic programming resolver. Then return back, and we improve. So this is some iterative quadratic programming. We have publication about it. It works very well. So this is explanation how we use it. We use Lagrange multipliers to obtain these restrictions. So I will not discuss more. Yes, and this is illustration how it works, how we found variables. And this is convergence of general Markowitz function, converge sufficiently quickly. And this is convergence of customers to optimal values, convergence of matrix C, but if we know C, we recuperate there. Okay, and here, reinforcement learning. What is this? In practice, we practically never know in real situation, we know probability, we don't know probability to pass from one state to another state. It's only can be based on real data, which special group in each bank, they take online, take together all information and understand what happened. So if we work in real time, and we can realize, okay, today, this week, such persons from this state pass to another one, another decrease his level of card, another increase, so we can obtain some estimation of matrix P. We don't know, we don't have matrix P, we can estimate it. And if we make each week, for example, we realize estimation, and for each week we obtain linear optimization problem, we solve it, and for each week, bank will have optimal strategy to obtain maximum possible profit. So this is learning rule. I will not discuss this learning. Actor critic principle. I will not discuss. Here also examples of some real situation. We took data from Bancomer. Bancomer it's one of Mexican part of Bank Bilbao in Spain. BBVB, it's Bilbao Bank. So here we obtain some optimal results. So, and it's a function of error. It's difference between real P matrix and its estimation. So we can see how this error tends to zero. So in fact, we use this. Okay. Now, very briefly, next one, which exists more. Now about conflict situation. Now you know that in each country not exists only one bank, exists a group of Balkarian group which work together. Again, when you have election, for example, president election of some parliament, exists a group of party which combine together. One party strong and another not so strong, but they prefer to be together. And we have some counter, how it say, some participants. They have absolutely conflict interests. They have not the same interests. They wish obtain different interests. So obtain the so-called conflict situation. So conflict situation. In mathematicians call it like game theory, because game also conflict. But I don't like game. Game is something from football. It's not the same. So conflict. We consider conflict situation. So very simple example. We have two participants. If both of them, one participant and another, fix the strategy, they obtain income, utility for first. And certainly with the same strategy, another participant obtain another income. So each individual aim this first participant, which increase his income, but he only move its own strategy. He cannot move of other player. So, and the same here, this individual part. So, let's look at this. I explain you now Pareto concept. What does it mean, Pareto concept? Look, this is let we'll select different possible strategies, and we obtain here a set of points. This, if I fix one strategy, I obtain here G1. I fix the same under the same strategy. Incomes for second will be G2. I'll obtain 1 point. Changing strategy, I will put here some set of possible values. Now look here. Let's take this point, internal point. This point, in some sense, can be improved. Exist a strategy when both participants will improve. Why? No, because this cone, look, this set not empty. Any point here is better than this point. So if this cone not empty, this one. So this strategy improvable and improvable for both participants. But look at this at boundary. If the cone is empty, we cannot do nothing. If I try change strategy, second can win, but first can lose. So in all set of possible values of incomes or functionals, exists a set not improvable strategy in the same time for both. This set has a name as Pareto set. So this is Pareto. He lived in end of 19th century, died in 23. So it's French scientist. So condition of Pareto set is this one, mathematically. But physically, I explain what we have. So now, what we suggest to do. No, so any 2 points in Pareto set not comparable. 1 point is more preferable for one, another point preferable for 2. And how to find compromise that both very happy, not so angry one against the other. So suggested the following. Let's consider the so-called is utopia point, this point. What does it mean? This is maximal gain which can win first one, maximal criterion which can win another one. So this point is this, but is not available because all now available points are here. This is utopia point, which we never can obtain. But suggestion, let me projection of this point to closest point in Pareto set, and as show experience, this point is satisfactory for both participants. So in some sense, this is how it's a peace treatment. No? So this is idea. Exists Yuri Germier prove the following theorem: that if you take a linear combination of two criteria and lambda between 0 and 1, and for fixed lambda you will find maximum, you obligatory obtain one of possible Pareto set. And then changing lambda from 1 to 0, you can parameterize all possible Pareto sets. All arguments which correspond to Pareto set. Arguments which correspond to Pareto set. So this is a clear theorem. And if you have n participants, it is the same. You have convex combination, convex whole of possible criteria, then fix parameter lambda. Lambda is from simplex. We maximize, and for each fixed lambda, we obtain argument which correspond to Pareto set. Then changing inside of changing lambda inside of simplex, we can select any point in Pareto set. So G0, what is this? G0, no, here United radius. No, problem is as follows. So maybe we can consider a joint income of some group of banks, of some financial group, and we should select some argument, some strategy, but shows that it makes sense only select over the Pareto set, because if we not in Pareto set, exist con not empty, and we can improve both. But here exists a conflict situation, and we can consider it. So here is a problem. No, is a transfer pricing. It's very popular problem, transfer pricing. You know that exists some, how would say, it exists some group of companies, for example, each produce, no, I show you here, for example, this one, seafood supply, and here it's some manufacturing, which produce a wood, I would say it's furniture, which produce furniture. One company never can start produce, for example, furniture from the beginning. Why? Because first you should have wood. Sure, should be some company which only responsible that some trees grows. Then should be company which will cut and produce some semi-product. Then this goes to some packing, then goes to some factory, then exists and so on and so on, and finally final product it's some after some steps. The same here when seafood first somebody should know that study where we have a fish in the ocean. Then another company responsible, it's boat, they're responsible for taking. Yeah, then this exists, they bring it, but another company which produce semi-fabricats from this fish, and others baking, and so on and so on, and finally restaurant when you buy. So exists a group of, so this is some situation. But what is the transfer pricing problem? Each subgroup, internal subgroup, they pay only next participant in the group, only one, not all. It pay money. Look, I not pay. I buy your product and you pay me for this product. But also the same pay previous. They buy its product, and so some internal company related with financial relation only with his neighbors before and after. So transfer pricing. So each director of each head of each sub company he only interested that his company live good, has a good life, and had a maximum possible profit. It's not interesting how live another one. It's interesting only in his profit, so individual aim. But exists a general council of this group, and this general council interested in obtaining that this group obtain maximum incomes, maximum profit for group. So exists some center which interested that this prices was optimized. See, and this is, it has a name of transfer pricing. This is like division 1, division 2. So this division only buy product here and buy here and sell another one, and the same. So here exists some relations of between inside of this general syndicate, how I can say, and we can find the profits. So the profit, intermediate profit, depends how much money they will have after suggestions in product to next step, and minus money which they will have from previous one. Also, for example, if they wish to buy a lot of product from previous stage, they need to pay money where to keep it. It's also money. So maintenance also. So this is the values of this characteristics. And the problem is, this is G0 is the general interest of this syndicate. So, but generally it is like that. So, optimization can be done in Pareto set. Okay, I will not discuss here. So, this is a practical relations, and that's all. I will not discuss. So Pareto concept is very important. So if you have two participants, only makes sense to formulate optimization problem only on Pareto set. Inside exists strategy when both are interested to do. Then Nash, he obtained Nobel Prize in '94, published his paper I guess he published his paper in '52. He died recently in 2015. Maybe you saw the film Brilliant Mind about him. Yeah. So, he formulated non-cooperative game. It's a little bit another concept with respect to Pareto. So, Nash equilibrium. What is this Nash equilibrium? You have several participants, and Nash equilibrium, I understand it's really Nobel Prize, you see. From my point of view, it's excellent, one of the best Nobel Prize which was named. Why? Because, what is this definition? What definition gave Nash? Some point has a name equilibrium. If no makes sense for any participant to move independently, all other not change strategy, but if I personally will change, I only lost. So for me, no reason change nothing. And the same for another, no reason change nothing. So this is equilibrium by Nash. But look now in optimization problem. What is this optimal? You have a function. You have function. Individual. You have function with one. Or maximum, okay. You have here function. What is optimal, the maximum incomes in this point? For me, no makes sense to move, because if I will move here or here, I only will less income. Look, and the same, what does it mean? It doesn't mean if you have only one participant, only one player, or one controller, optimization problem makes sense. But if you have two controllers or more participants or more controllers to speak about optimal solution no makes sense, is stupidest. Not exist optimum, exist equilibrium. And generalization of notion of optimal solution to many participants related with notion of equilibrium. So equilibrium, it is the same optimal for one participant, but for many participants, it's equilibrium. So it's genius, understand this. For me, it's absolutely brilliant result and very clear explained. So this is mathematical. Here I say about the Gray-Rod talk about optimal decision when you have many participants. It is impossible. Not exist optimal. Stability, stable, equilibrium. No. So here I say only equilibrium makes sense to discuss. Optimality is only for one participant or one decision maker. Here definition, the same what I speak about, mathematical definition, how to express it, then how to use this definition for Markov chains. Okay, I will not, I omit this. It exists also Tanaka format, how represent mathematically the condition that some point is equilibrium point in Nash sense. Also important that Nash sense, equilibrium in Nash sense, when between participants, no agreement, they work independently. If they start to work in cooperation, it's already not Nash equilibrium, it's another case. So Nash equilibrium only for independent participants. So look, I guess there's a future of control theory in general, future of control theory to extend ideas of conflict situation for control problem. That you have several dynamics, but they related. Control, applying one control to one point, you at the same time have influence for another one. So you have several controllers. And to extend these ideas to multi-controller case, I guess this is the future of control. Nothing done, because now classical control, only one aim, one controller, we wish stabilize, or we wish minimize, that's all. But in fact, no. In fact, no. In chemical plants, for example, exists some process, in some reactor produce something, in another reactor produce something, but another thing, but they connected because use the same flow, I don't know, not only flow of money, flow of some energy, flow of, from general box. So here exists conflict. Each one has obtained much money from this subsection, another has produced much money for this subsection, but in general, it is conflict. If one will use more energy, another will have less energy. So how to obtain conflict? So this is resolve this conflict. This is a very interesting problem. So future of control, in my opinion, it's multi-controller case, but zero publication practically, zero. Tanaka give exact description how can we mathematically express that some point is equilibrium point in Nash sense. The result is interesting. Exist many equilibrium points, not one. Uniqueness, it's very rare situation. Normally is several strategies can provide Nash equilibrium. So next one, we use the two, we suggest two, with my colleagues, one student, colleagues, to obtain one of possible Nash equilibrium, we use extra proximal method of optimization. I will, no, here is extra proximal method. I will not discuss numerical quality. It's possible to do. I finish with Nash. Exists next, also next theory, Stackelberg. When we speak about Stackelberg equilibrium, it means that we deal with a leader. Exists in some group, exists leader, and another are followers. For example, in election of president election, I don't know, in the US exists, or in other country exists two parties, Democratic and Republicans, the leaders, and in other groups, so follows what they say we will do. So, problem with leader, it's different than problem without leader. Nash, when we deal about Nash, in the same time, it is synchronous acceptance of decision. All participants in the same moment, they accept solution in the same moment. But when we deal with leader, first leader knows information about follower, he accepts solution first, and after followers accept solution after him. So this is asynchronous acceptance. So interesting that Stackelberg was a Standartenführer of Nazi party. Yes, his biography, I don't know. Yes. From this period, 31-32, he was a Scharführer of Nazi party, SS. Okay. His discussion, I will go. So this, my words, is very important, that if we make simultaneously for two participants, Nash interpretation for two participants, first walk about this Carnot. Carnot, it was very famous French mathematician that works during Napoleon's 1810, something like this. 1810, 1812. And Stackelberg, he suggests the model with leader in 30s, 1930. So this is description, and description how to understand that exists difference. If we make solution at the same time, optimization, or if we make solution sequentially. Here some special examples. So this is incomes for one person and for another person. Here, two persons functions. So when we okay, so let me omit. So when we wish to obtain at the same time without leader, extremum. So it means that the outcomes of the first player, we calculate partial derivative, and if this is maximum, we put this derivative equal 0. For second, the same, and we obtain system of equation with respect to two strategies is possible resolve, and we obtain some Nash point or Carnot point. If we deal with Stackelberg, we make another way. We first calculate derivative of it's here. We calculate derivative, for example, with respect to, from here we obtain x2 as function of x1 and substitute it here. And after, not here, it's substituted in utility function, and after that calculate derivative. So this is difference, and difference here, for example, difference here very significant with Nash and with Nash or with Stackelberg. This is incomes for two. This one values, another values. P1 is this, P2 is this, and for another one is this and this. So it's difference. Okay, this is illustration, graphic illustration difference between Nash or Carnot solution and Stackelberg solution. I will not explain. So extension to multi-follows case, because maybe in real practice, maybe several leaders, not only one, maybe several leaders, several groups, and several follows. How extended? And then we call it Stackelberg-Nash equilibrium. This is condition of Stackelberg-Nash equilibrium mathematically. And again, we apply regularization, we apply Lagrange multipliers, and apply again extra proximal method to resolve. I will not explain that. This is it's not interesting. But here is serious mathematics. But this is optimization. For we consider only because you remember that strategies very quickly converge to stationary points. So not make sense to study dynamics. We only consider stationary, and stationary we already have nothing with dynamics. We work only with static optimization. So it's static. All plants is static, and problem are static. I don't know, you study here optimization theory, gradient method, all of this. Yeah? This serves exactly for this one. This is some results. I will not. In Las Vegas, I presented in last year this talk. Okay. And now, this is some example how it works. How converge strategy. This is okay. And now, I guess it's this is yeah, we finish. And now, last information, maybe 10 minutes. What is this bargaining? Bargaining is negotiation. And how to make bargaining? If in market one sale to another one, they start with another. My product, I now ask $2. No. As for me, it's very only one. No, I will not buy. Oh, stop. I will less. And so this is bargaining. What is your behavior during bargaining? So exists the theory of this. Now, 15 minutes, maybe 10 minutes. The last one. Now, what is this bargaining? It's negotiation. This is some photo from Indonesian market in center of Jakarta. The same here. Okay, how describe this? About bargaining, Nash also published some paper in 50s. His was in Econometrica in 50s was first publication of Nash about that. In fact, negotiation, because you have again two persons, again both of them has own strategy, again both of them has own incomes, but also they start negotiate from some point which is known as disagreement point, the disagreement. In some point they start to negotiate. So it's some new element with respect to Nash, exact Nash conflict theory. So I will not discuss this. Nash, what suggests Nash? He shows that he studied the behavior of a person who negotiated and understands that both of he considered only two negotiators. So he understands that both of them try to obtain agreement if they will if they will maximize this very interesting function. Product of difference. This is incomes of the first player, but this is incomes of the first player in disagreement point. Again, the same. Incomes of the second minus difference between disagreement, because if point is disagreement and they wish to obtain more incomes than disagreement point. So if you consider this product is known like Nash product. So, and we will do it in Pareto set, because we're interested only in Pareto set. If not in Pareto, both will increase. So if this product will be optimized on Pareto set, this is solution which suggests Nash. Okay, this is the description of that. I will not discuss. So this is this disagreement point. This is Pareto set, and exists several. For example, another scientist, Kalai, and Smaradinsky, Kalai also received, I guess, also received Nobel Prize in economics from Israel. He suggests to find in Pareto set from disagreement point, not move Nash, it is this one, movement in this, if we maximize, we move here. But Kalai said, no, I suggest that we move in 45 degree, I would say, equivalent here, that we move in the in bisectrice of this. Here, here description of this. So Kalai Smaradinsky suggests movement along bisectrice. It corresponds solution of this relation. This one. It's Kalai Smaradinsky, and this is Nash. So this is difference. Kalai Smaradinsky here and just here. So this description of this method. It's also possible. Mathematics. This is Kalai. Ehud Kalai. He's still alive. And this Kalai equalization. Another how it's a property of the what Kalai said. It means equalization. Both participants move with the same, how to say, with the same rank. No? This equalization of negotiators. So exists Nash, exists Kalai Smaradinsky axiomatics, and here exist 5 axioms, and for one this fulfilled no, for another this no, this no. I will not compare it. It's not important. It's some example. Two participants, Alice and George, and here Pareto set is this one. This is first part, and this is set of possible values. And here, Nash product, we calculated substitute values, optimize, and using Nash approach, Alice will gain $7.50, George 45. But if we apply here this solution, this is solution of Nash. If we apply the same to Kalai Smaradinsky, this relation, another formula, so Alice will win 20 and George 42. So this is some examples that they are different. I will not explain. And to use this definition and Markov chain, we also apply our dynamics. We know our relation, we know our probabilities, how they related. So this is utility. And interesting that we have several participants. In one participant, you remember here we have C, no? Before. But now, for 2 we have product, for more we have more. So this is multi-linear function, multi-linear function. Because in incomes of each participant has influenced other strategies. So this is product, multi-product. So this is multifunctional. For each participant, we have linear constraints like before, but functional now, we cannot apply linear programming because functional polylinear. And you see for 2, it's 1 multiplied 2. So here example, but it's also, so it's, in some fact, this is quadratic programming. Functional is quadratic and constraints are linear. So exist also MATLAB programs. No? This is convergence. This is optimal strategy, not optimal, equilibrium strategy for us. And this is how we win the first, how we win the first, second, after negotiation. No, this one. This according to Nash, and this is according to Koles-Morodinsky solution. This is another value explanation. So I finish. Few days I will not say nothing because it's about partially exist. I only one word. I have another lecture days concerning the so-called partially observable Markov chains. It is complete analog of output. Now you know that we have dynamics, we have output, and output maybe we cannot measure all, we can measure some combinations, only some part of coordinates. The same model is in Markov chain models. Exists a matrix of, here we have y equals x, for example. In Markov chains exists matrix of observation. So if we observe some state, but we can, it means that in this state, we, with probability, one probability, we can observe, for example, I saw that my state is 5, but it's artificial state. It's my observed, but my system can really be with probability 1, probability in state 1 and state 2, so exists a observability matrix, also probabilistic. How to work with this, and it's possible also. Now I have a PhD student. He finished master science and take 4 months interval, and from January he will follow this topic from January during 4 years. So I finished. It's more or less idea that exists another topics in control theory, not only pendulum, not only, I don't know, missiles, motors, so there exist another topics. And the requirement and demand, how it's in Spanish, demand, the requirement of this specialist is strong enough. In Mexico banks, all my students graduated with, not a lot, but free. 2 of them are women, and they immediately find a job in bank. Immediately. But it's difficult to find application and to find the real result. Why? Because all data which bank companies has, it's secret. No one bank can give you how money they have, how money they use for this. It's very difficult. They say, okay, your theory excellent. We can accept if your person enter in bank like worker, he will start to work, and all his results closed. It's absolutely closed. It's impossible to look, give me your real data, how credit card you have here, how you have, no, nothing. You cannot have nothing. So it's all people who work. Each bank has mathematical department. One of my students in Russia, who was my student, Alexander Chernitzer, he is the head of mathematical department HBSS Bank, HBSS in Canada, in Toronto. His division has 26 doctors of mathematics. They work very seriously. So exists such sort of application, it's possible to find, for young person, it's possible to find job, but you should understand that if you start to work in this area with real data, forget about publication, forget about, you will have money, but you will have no absolutely, how would say, open, your activity will not be open. It will be closed completely. It's more secret than military groups. Yeah, it's more secret, much more secret. So that's all.
Thank you, Professor. Thank you, Professor, from our side. Let's have it. So I think this session was something very interesting. So we know nothing about this area, but what I can say is that in ISC we saw that people are working in control, using this control. Professor Ramakandan, I agree, is working on robust control using game theory approach. So people have started working on game theory. This is altogether a different presentation. Nash equilibrium, we know prisoners in these cells and how they negotiate. So that was the example that we've been hearing from computer scientists to explain the Nash equilibrium point. That's what we heard from even Ramakalyan. So this was altogether very mathematically rigorous, and we could understand that yes, something can be built around in control using these equations. So it's fantastic. I will say that these ideas. I was just thinking that yes, some problem can be formulated. There are many such problems in control in society, which can be really reformulated, and I can reassure that first year MTech, those who will be going to second year, if some unfortunately comes under me, will have a problem on Markov chain. That's for sure, because I have a couple of collections. That's a promise, because I have a couple of my collections of paper which deals with Markov chain and the system. So yeah, we can work on that. That's fantastic. Thank you.